Hello, my name is Joe Layton. I'm the town manager here in Upton. I'm joined by Michael Antonellis, our Director of Land Use and Inspectional Services, and we're going to go through the articles that are on the November 7th special town meeting warrant. So, very briefly, I'm going to go through a list of the articles. So we have articles that deal with paying prior year bills, amending the approved FY24 operating budget, seek permanent easements on Milford Street and Grove Street, looking for funding for cemetery professional and administrative services, funding speed sign installations as well as a road speed study, funding exterior maintenance at Ristine Building and Holy Angels, seeking town meetings authorization for leasing Knowlton Ristine Building, seeking CPA funds for transferring to the Affordable Housing Trust, CPC funds for doing a community preservation plan as well as an affordable housing action plan. Looking for funding to prepare a water quality plan for Pratt and Mill Pond. This is working off of previous town meeting approval work. Funding Warren Brook Trail Bridge. Another article, the next two articles are dealing with replacing Board of Selectmen with Select Board and our various regulations. We're also seeking to create a no solicitation registry within the general bylaws. And lastly, looking at some bylaw amendments for the Upton Wetland Protection Bylaw as well as zoning bylaws dealing with the Upton Business District as well as large-scale ground-mounted solar. So I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail on each of these. So Article 1, we're looking at transferring from free cash to pay for prior year bills. We have prior year bills totaling about $2,000. These are just bills that came in late and we weren't able to pay while the books were still open for FY23. It does require 9/10 majority to approve prior year bills for special town meeting. Article 2 is going to be amending the FY24 budget. We're looking at transferring $65,000 from the Mendon Upton operating budget for the school district. They received a lot more money from the state than was projected, and they're giving some of that back. And we're going to reallocate some of those to various wage accounts as well as town building expenses. Article 3 is seeking authorization to acquire permanent easement at 41 Milford Street. This is part of the water and sewer extension project along Milford Street. The town recently was awarded $3.6 million to do this work. That would extend water and sewer up Milford Street to support housing development as well as ancillary development within the corridor. Article 4 is seeking authorization for another permanent easement. This one is going to be for the Grove Street Bridge. Specifically, we're looking at an easement that's about 228 square feet in area to allow for the town to construct the Grove Street Bridge as well as the separate pedestrian bridge. This has been discussed at the last two town meetings. We do anticipate that this permanent easement is going to be a gift from the property owner. Article 5 is seeking, it's written to seek $200,000 for professional and administrative services to support cemetery. This is a dollar figure that is being revised, and when we come to town meeting on Tuesday the 7th, we'll have a reduced figure. Work that's going to be included under this is migration of electronic and physical records to a new cemetery management software and reconciliation of our internal records. This is going to be something that's coordinated with our Department of Public Works. Article 6 is seeking $27,000 for installation of speed radar signs. Our police chief was successful in getting a grant, but now we need to install them. These are going to be done in 4 different locations, all coming into either West Upton or Upton Center, locations that we have a lot of issues with speeding and crosswalks and potential conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians. Article 7 is somewhat related. What we're looking for is $50,000 as a fund to do future road speed studies, to look at complaints around town in other areas where speeding may be an issue, to study those and also provide recommendations. Article 8, we're requesting a sum of $110,000 for exterior maintenance at the Pristine Building and Holy Angels, specifically for power washing, scraping, and painting these buildings in an effort to maintain their condition while we develop plans ultimately for their future. Article 9 is seeking to get town meeting's authorization for leasing out the first floor. So the library moved back in April to the new community center, and we're looking for town meeting's authorization to let the Board of Selectmen lease out that space. Not only to support local businesses, but also to make sure that we're utilizing the building fully. Article 10 seeks to transfer $100,000 from the CPA Affordable Housing Reserve account to the Affordable Housing Trust. This work is going to support the activities of the trust, doing pre-development activities supporting development of affordable housing in town. Article 11 is seeking $15,000 from the Community Preservation Undesignated Fund to create a community preservation plan. This plan will assist the CPC in identifying priorities and potential projects for the future. Article 12 seeks $15,000 from the Community Preservation Housing Fund to assist the Affordable Housing Trust create an Affordable Housing Action Plan. We recently completed the Housing Production Plan, and within that, a lot of goals and recommendations were identified. This is going to allow the Affordable Housing Trust to do a specific plan on what specific tasks and projects it's going to work on timelines, work on identifying budgets. So for the next 5 years, they basically have a roadmap on what to work on. Article 13, which was submitted by the Lakes and Ponds Committee, is looking for $50,000 to continue its work in the development of a plan for management of Pratt Pond and Mill Pond. Article 14, which was submitted by the Land Stewardship Committee, is seeking $5,000 to do repairs to the trail bridge at Warren Brook Watershed Conservation Area. Project basically involves the upgrading of that bridge surface as a larger project for maintaining that conservation area, and the Stewardship Committee is working with Blackstone Valley Mountain Bike Association and Bay State Trails Riders Association to volunteer and also get this project completed. Article 15 was submitted at the request of the Lakes and Ponds Committee for using CPC funds for purchase of water testing equipment and for doing water quality for a period of 1 year. Future testing will be incorporated into future fiscal year operating budgets. The next two articles, 16 and 17, are related in that the Board of Selectmen is proposing to change Board of Selectmen to Select Board. This is a trend that's been occurring within Massachusetts. And it requires amendments not only to the general bylaw, zoning bylaw, but also to our special acts. So 16 amends the general and zoning bylaw, and Article 17 petitions the general court for special legislation to amend the various acts for the town of Upton that reference Board of Selectmen to then replace to Select Board. Article 18 amends the existing general bylaw entitled Soliciting, Canvassing, and Peddling to include a new no solicitation registry provision. And the purpose of this would allow for residents to opt in and sign up to be placed on this registry, so that if there was solicitation activity that was permitted through the police department, they can ask them that their residents not be visited by those solicitors. Article 19, proposed by the Conservation Commission, would make amendments to the Wetland Protection Bylaw. These would basically remove abutter notifications for certain determinations. Most of the work that's undertaken by the Commission for determination is minor in nature, such as septic system repair, tree removal, installation of retaining walls, or a deck, which wouldn't have much effect on abutters. For the remaining two articles, I'm going to turn things over to Michael Antonellis just to talk about the purpose of the article for amending the use table as well as the large-scale solar.
Thanks, Joe. So the first article we see here is Article 20, and that's basically an administrative cleanup of the zoning bylaw language. It was discovered when reviewing the zoning bylaw and the use table that within the Upton Center Business District, there are a number of uses that are allowed by right and some uses that are allowed by special permit. When reviewing the types of uses that are allowed by right versus the ones that are allowed only by special permit, which requires a special formal public hearing, a lot of those uses were very similar. And for instance, there is a provision for gyms and fitness centers, and then there's also provision for yoga and Pilates. Those are allowed by special permit, but beauty shop, day spa, and massage therapists are allowed by right. So there was a lot of conflict between, or I should say overlap between the uses that are allowed by right and the uses that are allowed by special permit. It was determined by the planning board when they reviewed it, and is recommended by the Economic Development Committee, that these are uses really that we would want to encourage in the Upton Center Business District. The next article is the article concerning large-scale solar. The previous practice by cities and towns was to adopt a certain zoning district for which permitted large-scale solar. New case law suggests that towns do not have the ability to restrict solar as they once did. In the case of East Longmeadow from 2019, the land court ruled that protections afforded to solar energy systems are similar to the protections for schools, churches, and childcare facilities. In Waltham 2022, the courts determined that 1% to 2% of land within a town was not adequate to adhere to the protections this use is afforded in Mass General Law 40A Section 3. That case was the Tracer Lane case, which also affirms the ability for towns to regulate the use, just not such that it would be unreasonable or function as a prohibition. Regulations must be tied to public health, safety, and welfare. In town council's opinion, the town's ability to require special permits is still intact. After several conversations with town council regarding recent case law interpretations and the Attorney General's actions for approving new solar bylaws, it was decided that the planning board would explore expanding solar as an allowable use within the AR district by special permit only. Staff explored recent bylaws that were approved by the AG's office for insight into the kind of limitations that would be acceptable within new solar districts. The proposed bylaw takes into consideration several of the proposed limitations staff reviewed, such as a requirement for at least 5 years prior to the application, there must be some clearing of land as to avoid large-scale swaths of wooded area or forest to be eliminated for the purpose of an application. It would also set controls such as maximum size, minimum size, and setbacks. We went with 100-foot setbacks, and that was provided within the draft language that mimics language that is existing within the current bylaw, which governs the commercial and industrial district, where in that district, if that use is abutting a residential use, it would have to follow a 100-foot setback. So in this case, we're expanding to the agricultural residential district. We felt that the 100-foot setback that was designated for that district should also apply within this district. Staff also prepared a brief summary in support of the proposed requirements to demonstrate that these requirements should not be considered unreasonable by the Attorney General's office. There is ample space within the AR district which can accommodate new solar uses with regard to the proposed restrictions within this bylaw. This is required information that must be supported to the Attorney General's office for approval of the bylaw should it be passed at town meeting. On the Planning Board's webpage under Meeting Materials, you can find additional documents and information for your review. Some of that information would be a summary of the justifications for the restrictions that are proposed within this bylaw, a zoning map showing all of the parcels within the agricultural residential district, which have over 3 acres, and eligible parcels with access to 3-phase power. A map showing Army Corps of Engineers flowage easements, as well as maps showing additional property restrictions. And those were all things that were taken into consideration throughout the public hearing process for the Planning Board. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. So those are the 21 articles being considered at the November 7th special town meeting. Hope to see everyone there. It is at Nipmuc High School in the auditorium starting at 7 o'clock. Should you want to take a look at the warrant or any of the other information, please visit the town's website at www.uptonma.gov. Feel free to reach out to myself in the town manager's office or Mike in the land use department up here at Town Hall, and hope to see you on Tuesday. Thank you.